Welcome to a world shrouded in secrecy and deception, a battleground not of soldiers, but of spies and double agents. This is the Cold War, an era defined by intense rivalry between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. In this covert conflict, information was the most powerful weapon, and the stakes couldn't be higher. At the heart of this shadowy struggle was one of the most notorious spy rings of the time, the Cambridge Five. This group of double agents, comprised of highly placed British intelligence officers, operated right under the nose of the British government. They fed critical information to the Soviet Union, tipping the scales of power and trust. In this video, we will delve into the lives of these key players and uncover the shocking betrayal that sent ripples through the intelligence community. To understand the Cambridge Five, we must travel back to the hallowed halls of Cambridge University in the 1930s. It was here, amidst the intellectual fervor and political debates of the time, that the seeds of betrayal were sown. The Great Depression and the rise of fascism in Europe created a fertile ground for ideological radicalization. It was in this environment that a small group of students began to question the status quo. Disillusioned by capitalism and alarmed by the threat of fascism, they turned to communism as a beacon of hope. Among them were Kim Philby, Donald Maclean, Guy Burgess, Anthony Blunt, and John Cairncross. Their shared convictions and the tight-knit nature of their social circles made them prime targets for Soviet recruitment. Soviet intelligence, ever vigilant for potential allies in the West, saw an opportunity in these bright, idealistic young men. They approached them with promises of a greater cause, one that transcended national boundaries. The allure of fighting against fascism and for a new world order was irresistible. Each of the Cambridge Five had their own reasons for joining the Soviet cause, but their motivations were deeply rooted in a desire for change. They believed they were on the right side of history, even if it meant betraying their own country. As they graduated from Cambridge, they carried their secret allegiance with them into the corridors of British power. This clandestine group, bound by ideology and a shared sense of purpose, would go on to infiltrate the highest levels of British intelligence. Their journey from university radicals to Soviet spies was just the beginning of a betrayal that would echo through the annals of Cold War history. To truly understand the magnitude of the betrayal orchestrated by the Cambridge Five, we must first get to know the men behind the masks. These were not just ordinary students. They were individuals who rose to positions of immense power and trust within British intelligence and government. First, we have Kim Philby, perhaps the most infamous of the group. Philby joined MI6 and quickly climbed the ranks, eventually becoming the head of British counterintelligence against the Soviet Union. Ironically, he was the very man tasked with rooting out Soviet spies, all the while being one himself. Next, there's Guy Burgess, a flamboyant and eccentric personality. Burgess worked in both MI5 and the Foreign Office. His charm and wit made him a popular figure, allowing him to gather and pass on sensitive information without arousing suspicion. Donald Maclean was another key player. As a diplomat, Maclean had access to top-secret information and was involved in crucial negotiations. His position in the Foreign Office enabled him to pass valuable intelligence directly to the Soviets. Anthony Blunt, an art historian by profession, served as a trusted advisor to the royal family and worked for MI5 during the war. His scholarly demeanor masked his deep commitment to the communist cause, making him an invaluable asset to Soviet intelligence. Lastly, John Cairncross, the least known of the five, worked at Bletchley Park, the British code-breaking center. His access to decrypted German messages provided the Soviets with critical information during World War II, influencing the outcome of several key battles. These five men, each with their own unique skills and positions, formed a web of espionage that infiltrated the highest levels of British intelligence. Their rise to power and trust was a testament to their cunning and the dangerous allure of their ideological convictions. The Cambridge Five did more than just infiltrate British intelligence. They stole some of the most sensitive secrets of the Cold War era. Let's delve into the specifics of the intelligence they passed to the Soviets and the devastating impact it had. First, NATO strategies. The Cambridge Five provided the Soviet Union with detailed plans and strategies of NATO, the Western alliance formed to counter Soviet influence. This included troop movements, defense plans, and even the locations of military bases. With this information, the Soviets could anticipate and counteract NATO's actions, significantly weakening the alliance's strategic advantage. Next, British military plans. The spies delivered critical information on Britain's defense capabilities, including details on new weapons systems and military operations. This not only compromised Britain's national security, but also gave the Soviet Union an upper hand in military confrontations, allowing them to prepare and respond more effectively. Perhaps most alarmingly, they passed on nuclear secrets. During the height of the Cold War, the balance of power hinged on nuclear capabilities. The Cambridge Five provided the Soviets with vital information about British and American nuclear programs, including research and development details, deployment plans, and technological advancements. This knowledge accelerated the Soviet Union's own nuclear program, bringing the world closer to the brink of nuclear war. The real-life consequences of their espionage were dire. Compromised missions, such as the failed SIS operations in Eastern Europe, led to the capture and execution of numerous agents. The betrayal also caused widespread paranoia within British intelligence, leading to internal purges and a breakdown of trust among allies. In summary, the intelligence stolen by the Cambridge Five not only shifted the balance of power during the Cold War, but also had immediate, life-threatening consequences. Their actions were a betrayal of the highest order, reshaping the geopolitical landscape and endangering countless lives. The Cambridge Five's espionage activities couldn't remain hidden forever. As suspicions grew, the net began to close around them. This led to a series of dramatic defections that would shock the world. First, let's focus on Guy Burgess and Donald MacLean. In 1951, as investigations were closing in, they made a harrowing escape to the Soviet Union. Their sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through British intelligence. Burgess and MacLean's defection was a clear signal to the world that the Soviet Union had deeply infiltrated Western intelligence. But the most dramatic escape was yet to come. Kim Philby, perhaps the most notorious of the Cambridge Five, was under intense scrutiny. In 1963, with the walls closing in, Philby made his daring move. Narrowly escaping capture, he fled to Moscow, leaving behind a trail of confusion and betrayal. His defection was a severe blow to British intelligence, revealing the depth of his treachery and the extent of his double life. The British government was stunned. The realization of the depth of their betrayal came like a hammer blow. Trusted agents, men who had been at the heart of British intelligence, had been working for the enemy all along. The betrayal wasn't just a failure of security, it was a fundamental breach of trust. The defections of Burgess, MacLean, and Philby painted a bleak picture of Cold War espionage. They showed the lengths to which the Soviet Union would go to infiltrate and undermine Western powers. The Cambridge Five's actions left a lasting impact, one that would haunt British intelligence for decades. The defections of the Cambridge Five sent shockwaves through the intelligence community, but the true impact of their betrayal was far-reaching and long-lasting. British intelligence, once considered impenetrable, was now seen as vulnerable. The trust that had been the bedrock of relationships between Britain and its allies, particularly the United States, was severely shaken. The immediate fallout was a re-evaluation of security protocols and a tightening of internal vetting processes. Every agent, every piece of information, came under intense scrutiny. The betrayal led to an atmosphere of suspicion and paranoia that permeated the corridors of power. Allies questioned the reliability of British intelligence. And, for a time, crucial information sharing was significantly reduced. On a broader scale, the Cambridge Five's actions forced the West to rethink its Cold War strategy. The realization that Soviet espionage had penetrated so deeply prompted a shift in tactics. Counterintelligence efforts were ramped up, and the hunt for other potential moles became a top priority. The era of blind trust was over, replaced by a new age of vigilance and caution. The Cambridge Five not only altered the course of British intelligence, but also changed the face of espionage itself. Their story became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the high stakes in the world of intelligence and the devastating consequences of betrayal. As the Cold War continued, the lessons learned from the Cambridge Five's treachery would shape the strategies and mindsets of spy agencies around the world. In the end, the legacy of the Cambridge Five is one of both infamy and influence. Their betrayal left an indelible mark on history, a testament to the complex and often perilous world of espionage. The story of the Cambridge Five is not just about the betrayal of 5 men. It's also about the unanswered questions and the lingering mysteries that surround their espionage activities. Were there more spies within their circle? Could it be that the Cambridge Five was just the tip of the iceberg? Speculations abound that other individuals, perhaps never identified, were also feeding secrets to the Soviets. One of the most tantalizing theories is the existence of a 6th man, an elusive figure who might have played a crucial role, but managed to evade detection. Some believe that this shadowy individual continued to operate long after the Cambridge Five were exposed. Others question the extent of their involvement with other espionage networks. Did they have connections that reached further than previously thought? Were they part of a larger conspiracy that remains hidden to this day? The legacy of the Cambridge Five is not just in the secrets they stole, but in the mysteries they left behind. Their actions forced a reevaluation of trust and security, but they also left an indelible mark on the world of espionage. As we continue to uncover new information, the story of the Cambridge Five remains a powerful reminder of the complex and often hidden world of intelligence. The questions they left unanswered continue to intrigue historians, intelligence experts, and the public alike. What other secrets might still be buried in the shadows? After their defection, the Cambridge Five found themselves in a new world, one that offered them safety, but not necessarily peace. In Moscow, they were both celebrated and isolated, heroes to the Soviet state, but traitors to their homeland. Kim Philby, perhaps the most infamous of the 5, lived out his days in relative comfort, but never fully escaped the shadows of his actions. He published a memoir, My Silent War, attempting to justify his betrayal, but many saw it as an empty rationalization. Donald MacLean also adapted to life in the Soviet Union, taking on various roles within the government. He became a Soviet citizen and even served as an advisor, but his life was marked by a sense of melancholy and regret. Guy Burgess, on the other hand, struggled more visibly with his new reality. Known for his flamboyant personality, he found it hard to adjust to the restrictions of Soviet life and succumbed to alcoholism. Anthony Blunt, unlike the others, managed to avoid immediate defection and continued his work in Britain until he was exposed years later. His knighthood was stripped, and he lived the rest of his life in disgrace. John Cairncross, the least known of the 5, also lived in the Soviet Union, but managed to keep a lower profile. History's judgment of the Cambridge Five is complex. In the Soviet Union, they were honored as brave spies who had helped tilt the balance of power. In the West, they were vilified as traitors who had betrayed their country and colleagues. Their actions forced intelligence agencies to reevaluate their security measures, leading to widespread paranoia and mistrust. The broader implications of their espionage reverberated long after the Cold War ended. The Cambridge Five had shown how deeply espionage could penetrate, challenging the very foundations of trust and loyalty. Their story serves as a stark reminder of the high stakes in the world of intelligence, where the line between hero and traitor can be razor thin. As we reflect on their legacy, we are reminded that the world of espionage is never black and white. The Cambridge Five remain a symbol of the complexities and moral ambiguities that define this shadowy realm. As we reflect on the lives and actions of the Cambridge Five, their legacy remains one of the most shocking espionage stories in history. These 5 men, once trusted and respected, managed to infiltrate the highest levels of British intelligence, all while secretly serving the Soviet Union. Their betrayal not only altered the course of the Cold War, but also left an indelible mark on the world of espionage. The Cambridge Five forced intelligence agencies around the globe to rethink their security measures, leading to an era of heightened paranoia and mistrust. Their story is a chilling reminder of the thin line between loyalty and treachery, and how easily it can be crossed. But even now, decades later, questions linger. How much do we still not know about the secrets they passed on? What hidden truths remain buried in the annals of history, waiting to be uncovered? The story of the Cambridge Five may have ended, but the mysteries they left behind continue to haunt us.